I think France was a better example when you see the amazing talent that France has, so many NBA players and really great players, not just role model players or role players, but great players. And yet when you watch them play, as you say, they've been playing together an awful long time.
Yeah.
And, they have the ability to make good players look great and great players look like role players, like they're just out there doing their job. And I think that's a marvelous testimony to the evolution of a squad as that group has gone. And that group also included guys like Tony Parker and Boris Diaw and the Jalabale and, these guys that were the sort of the forerunners of Decolo and Batum and, Gobert and as you said, Fournier.
Yeah.
So there's been continuity in that program now for almost 20 years, and they've had the same coach.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at that, you think, wow, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. But when you also watch them play, you think, how do you get all those star players to play so unselfishly and to play in a system where none of them feature, but all of them have moments of being featured? And the answer to that is continuity. It's getting the right people, sticking with them, maintaining a philosophical approach through a good coaching staff. And whether that's with one coach or, a succession of coaches that apply the same model, if you've got the right people and you do that, then you're going to, elevate your program. How high? I don't know, but that's what I hope that we are doing. And we're not specifically trying to emulate France, but France is an excellent model for what, we could emulate. And I think we've got very, very good young players, and we certainly will get more. And as we do that, we can strengthen the talent of our program, but strengthening the chemistry and the cohesion of the program is just as important. And if we derail ourselves and say, oh my gosh, we've got to go get a talented naturalized player and let him a la, Andre Blatch and let him do everything, then we will lose a lot of good work.
Yeah, and I agree with your point there. I really like the way you develop a program, because it's not really for short term only, like to win 1 or 2 tournaments, but it's like what France is doing, like 10, 20 years down the line, that it's still a successful program and a successful country in the world of basketball. But for you as a coach and as a program director, how do you convince that maybe like the people on top, like the higher ups, that your philosophy or your program is successful? Like, because Coach Chot also, he mentioned that this has been something they wanted ever since before. Like maybe with Coach Raiko, they tried, but then after like 2 to 3 years, it didn't continue anymore. I forgot what happened. But then for you, now you're able to convince them with this new system and philosophy that you have of having amateur players and then developing them to reach their full potential, like Dwight, Kai, and all these other players. So how do you try to convince them to stick with what you believe in, and also maybe get inputs from them, but like the main focus is what you believe in from the European countries?
Going back to France for a second before I directly answer your question, France is only, with this group, they've only actually won 1 European championship.
Yeah.
So, you have to have people that can identify evolution. And obviously, the coach had to do a good job selling the fact that they were getting better and better, and they were getting closer and closer to, the loftiest goals, which is gold medal at the World Champs, gold medal at the Olympics. So they're still aspiring to reach those, but they have stuck with the program. And so, to answer your question directly, obviously winning is the greatest convincer to the management people. And so when they saw our wins against Korea, that was validation. When they saw, I guess you'd say, moral victories in the OQT, to some degree, that's validation. But, you also have to be able to show them on a day-to-day basis the work ethic of the players, the buy-in of the players. They have to get feedback that, we like this, we believe in this, we're going forward with this. It's got to come from the players. And so, nothing works if the players don't work. The coaching staff can have the best intentions, the best talent, the best knowledge, the best experience. But if that isn't conveyed to your opponents and to your management by how the players play, then management will abandon you. And of course, the other thing is, a program like this isn't cheap. And this was a big problem ultimately in the Reiko Toraman area. The fact that they did accomplish a lot, but it's an expensive program to run. When you're literally taking responsibility for professionalizing a full basketball team for significant portions of the year. So again, I don't think we emphasize enough the phenomenal contribution of Boss MVP and his support of Gilas, his support of the SBP. It just doesn't exist without the tremendous, investment that he makes. And, if there's ever a day that he decides that it's too much, then, the program will struggle. It will suffer. It will either have to find alternative sources, or it will, cease to exist and be resurrected in another form. So our job really to convince people is to continue to play well, but to get results. And that's why we can't ever ignore the fact that we've got to win. And we've got to get our win against Tunisia was a big win. It was a validating win. Tunisia is an outstanding African nation. So piling up wins like that means an awful lot for, program sustainability. And, we can't just keep talking about development all the time. We have to supply some results as well.